Whether you've been thinking about buying a home this entire time in advance of your PCS, or maybe this is a new exploration for you given the current market or given inventory shortages. I mean, we're hearing all kinds of crazy stuff. Home ownership might actually be on your radar, and if it is, we want to make sure that you are taking into consideration some of the financial implications of purchasing a home that we've already been talking all about throughout today's episode. So, joining me today, actually, as our expert guest, is going to be Mo, or Michael, I guess, but Mo, as we all know him now, Oursler from NewDay USA. Mo is the president of purchase at NewDay USA, where he oversees NewDay's loan origination and operations, university, and secondary marketing efforts. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Mo. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do over at NewDay?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Really love working with you guys. And at New Day, we're focused on the military community, serving them with their mortgage finance needs. So we are exclusively doing VA loans, and our focus is to make sure that we do everything we can to help the military community use the VA home loan benefit, which is such a great benefit, whether it's a refinance, a cash out, or as we're talking about today, buying a home.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's jump right in because I know folks have a ton of questions about VA loans. I want to say right off the bat, if you guys have questions that we don't get to today and throughout our conversation, we're going to encourage you to join us for an event coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned for more information about that. So, all right, Mo, we know there's a lot involved when buying a home. And a lot of times people get kind of hung up on just that asking price. Like that's the number. They think they know their number, their price range, etc. But I feel like that's probably not the only consideration they need to be making. So what are some other costs associated with buying a home that may not be top of mind and that we need to kind of put a buffer in on top of that asking price while doing our search?
Yeah, I mean, holistically, there's really two constraints that most home buyers are going to have. It's going to be how much money do you have in the bank for a down payment or closing costs. The VA program is no down payment, as I think many people know, but you also have closing costs. And so even if it's no down payment, you still may have to bring money to the closing table. And then there's the actual price of the house, which will drive your monthly payment. So you obviously need to make sure that you can afford the monthly payment. But I think the big thing that people need to be thinking about is costs of your mortgage. And it's really important to shop around. Every mortgage lender has a different pricing structure, different rates, different fees. They may have preferred title companies that also have different rates and fees. So it's really important to shop around and make sure that you're getting the best deal because that will drive both or at least one of what your monthly payment is and or how much you have to bring to the closing table when you buy the house.
Yeah, I love this concept of shopping around. We talk a lot about that in our workshops.
Yep.
So you guys, seriously, you need to come join us for one of those. But it's a great idea that I think a lot of people just don't realize. So you mentioned budgeting for your monthly expenses. What are some other things that could come into play there? Because I know often, you think you can just do this calculation somewhere and say, oh, that'll be my mortgage. And then you get your actual mortgage. You're like, wait, where did all this stuff come from? Tell us more about that process.
Yeah, so your mortgage itself will have a principal and interest component, which is going to be based on the interest rate and the term of the loan, 15-year, 30-year, et cetera. Your loan officer at whatever lender you choose will be able to walk you through that. But there's going to be a lot of other pieces to it that all add up to your monthly payment that you have to make. Every property has taxes, and you're going to need homeowners insurance. Almost every lender is going to require you to do that. And so when you're looking at the property, you need to make sure you understand what that tax burden looks like and how much it's going to cost to insure a house. Certain counties and cities have different tax rates, and it can vary dramatically across county and city lines and state lines. And then same thing to insure a house. If you're in a flood zone or you're in an area where there's a lot of hurricanes, the cost to insure may be much higher. Both of those can drive your monthly costs. The other obvious ones would be mortgage insurance. Depending on what mortgage product you're using, you will potentially need to make an additional payment for mortgage insurance, which applies to FHA and conventional financing. Nice thing about VA is there is no mortgage insurance. And then the other big one that comes to mind is a homeowners association. In certain areas, that can be a couple $100 a month. So even though that's not part of your monthly mortgage payment, most companies won't include that in the payment. You as a homeowner are still going to have to pay the association a monthly due. So while it might be a nicer house in an area that looks like it's cheaper, your monthly cost could actually be similar or more if you have to make that monthly HOA payment.
Yeah, these are all things you need to be considering, especially when you're budgeting out, um, giving yourself enough room in that budget to make sure that you're considering all of these factors and all things that a qualified lender and a knowledgeable agent should be able to help you through. So ask those questions. If they're not telling you these things up front, like be sure to ask. Um, Mo, let's talk about the VA loan specifically. Like, why is it so special? Pretend like I've never heard of the VA loan, and we know that we have this option available, but we just know nothing. Break it down for us. Tell us why it's such a neat product.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is going to be no down payment. I think that's fairly common knowledge. VA home loan program requires no down payment. You can finance 100% of the purchase price when you buy the house. And so that really limits how much money you have to bring to closing. We've actually helped many clients that didn't have to even bring any money to closing through the use of seller concessions and negotiating, things like that. But the biggest driver of the VA program is going to be no down payment. Some other nice benefits is there's no mortgage insurance, which I talked about just a minute ago, which really helps to save you on a monthly basis in your mortgage payment. And then the rates are pretty competitive. VA loans are part of the Ginnie Mae program. They're backed by the federal government, and that helps to keep rates low. Historically, VA rates have been lower than conventional rates for the same borrower. And so if you've served and you have access to the VA home loan benefit, it's almost always a better program. No down payment, no MI, and likely a lower interest rate than the equivalent conventional financing options.
I feel like there's a lot of myths circulating around about the VA loan, and I think you just dispelled several of those. But I'm also curious, especially given the market and the way things are happening right now. I'm hearing a lot of rumors and like hearsay that VA loans aren't getting accepted and it could be a detriment. Is that true? Or is this just part of like the craziness and the hype and maybe some misinformation around like how accessible the loan product is? And then are there ways to strengthen an offer if you are planning to use a VA loan for your financing?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. Unfortunately, it's somewhat true that VA offers are having difficulty getting accepted right now, but I would say that's mostly driven by myths. And so in our experience at NewDay, with our focus on the VA home loan program, we don't really see much trouble getting offers accepted because we do a lot of due diligence up front to make sure that our military clients are fully credit and income approved. We work with real estate agents that are, well versed in the VA program. So when they're talking to sellers and listing agents, they can explain and dispel myths about the VA program. Most things that I hear about why people don't like the VA program is because they don't understand it, and it's not because it's a bad program. It's a great benefit. The military has earned that benefit, and there's no reason not to use it. But you need to make sure you're working with a lender and an agent that can explain that to people that might not understand that. Because if they can't explain that or dispel the myths, then your VA offer is not going to be accepted. That's just the reality of the market that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's so true. It's education. I mean, that's a huge component of what we're doing at MILLIE. We're trying to educate, folks. We try to educate agents. We try to encourage you to work with people who know what they're talking about, especially when it comes to the VA loan. So vetting your people is huge because you can actually educate the other side of the table during the
Right.
process as well if you're knowledgeable enough. Mo, you have given us so much to think about and chew on in just this sliver of time. It's never enough, but I appreciate you sharing your wisdom, your insights with us, and also want to encourage everyone to reach out to NewDay USA if you have questions, if you just want to start the conversation. That's what I love about you guys is that you can just kind of pick up the phone and be like, "Hi, I know nothing. tell me what I need to know." Start building that relationship. Start getting a feel for what this process can look like for you. So everything from pre-approvals to talking through your monthly budget, like what you can actually afford. Those are all really great first steps, especially to do now. If you have a little bit of time to spare before your PCS, if you're interested in exploring an option. So before you go, Mo, I just also want to invite our viewers to the upcoming MILLIE Masterclass workshops that NewDay USA is so awesomely funding and supporting for us. We are going to be talking about, we're going to do these once a month, first of all. So every single month, we're going to have a Zoom session. So it's kind of private over on Zoom. We're going to have a Q&A segment. We're going to have we usually have a phone bank of your team. We're going to have your team available. Yeah.
Yep.
Answering questions in real time. We're going to cover a variety of topics, but there is going to be a focus on VA home loans, home buyer workshop. Maybe Mo, can you tell us a little bit about some of the stuff we're going to cover during your sessions?
Yeah, we start with, to your point, we start with budgeting because it all starts there. Kind of walk you through how to build a basic budget. Then we walk you through the home buying process, talking with a lender, getting pre-qualified, pre-approved, understanding how to compare offers. We'll talk a little bit about how the credit scoring system works because that's pretty critical to the home buying process. And it's honestly just a good life skill to have. And then, we wrap it up with some Q&A because there's a lot of times there's some very specific questions, especially related to PCSing because it's just an added layer of stress. So happy to answer any of those questions that pop up.
It's always which state does this? And yeah, no, y'all,
Yep.
the question and answer session is like on fire usually, so you don't want to miss that. I'll drop the links in the comments or description wherever you're watching this today. Be sure to reach out, comment, ask us questions if you have them now. We'll try to address them offline, and we can connect you as well with the folks at NewDay if you have specific questions about your VA home loan needs. Mo, thank you so much for being here today. We always appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
Yeah.